So many in Washington have tried to disqualify President Trump from sort of a political life after his time in office. Are these tapes going to be different when people are able to listen to all of them than all of the books previously, including your three?
Well, you never know, but I am in the position of being a reporter, trying to put out what I find and what I can verify. What stunned me about these tapes, I had them from 2020, and I listened to them again this year, and Trump was thundering in my ears. There's something about the power of his voice. And when you look at the overall here, the catastrophe and the tragedy is he does not understand democracy, and certainly the January 6th committee has covered that, but he doesn't understand the presidency and the moral responsibility he has to the people of this country. And I discovered in this reporting that on January 28th of 2020, he was warned that the virus was going to be the biggest national security threat to your presidency from his own national security advisor, Robert O'Brien. I've known and reported on 16 national security advisors going back to Henry Kissinger and never heard one issue that kind of warning. So we have a situation, in my view, and I think people who listen to all of these tapes will see that it was a presidency in moral freefall, that there was no sense Trump had. Yes.
You say that. We'll play one of the sound bites that I think that you would indicate sort of speaks to the idea of moral freefall, and that would be that he said in one of your interviews, one of your conversations, that you drank the Kool-Aid. June 19th, 2020, just after George Floyd's death. Take a listen.
Yes. We're white, privileged. Do you have any sense that that privilege has isolated and put you in a cave to a certain extent, as it put me and I think lots of white privileged people in a cave, and that we have to work our way out of it to understand the anger and the pain particularly black people feel in this country?
No, you really drank the Kool-Aid, didn't you? Listen to you. Wow. No, I don't feel that at all.
You say that these tapes have this proof of moral freefall. That doesn't sound like anything that he wouldn't say at a rally. In fact, it seems kind of almost tame for something that Donald Trump would say.
No. He did not say it at a rally. And he kept telling me he's done more for black people than any president since Abraham Lincoln. But this is the demonstration of the moral freefall. As president of the United States, he may not agree with lots of things that organizations like Black Lives Matter, but he's got to understand. And that comeback of you drank the Kool-Aid, as if somehow I've been brainwashed. One of the moral responsibilities, constitutional responsibilities of a president is to understand what other people feel and are going through. And I don't think, lots of people may not agree with it, but there are black people in this country, many who have pain and anger
felt that he just didn't care
about their rights. Pardon?
There was a moral failing.
Not caring about something as vital to the country is exactly what I mean by moral freefall. You can't, look, lots of people, and he can disengage from that responsibility, but what these tapes show is he did that on a series of issues. Most pointedly, the coronavirus.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.